honest with you, when we first broke the news that it was in advanced stages, I probably expected it to be finalised, wrapped up, and concluded before now. I'm not suggesting for a second that there's a problem or that that they're trying to overcome anything. I think it is just going at its own pace. I think there's so many legal things that need to be looked at, examined, cross-checked, double cross-checked. I still think it will need its own course to be concluded this month. But I also think, Dan, as I think you're hinting at there is actually a touch of urgency about it. Now, I really think it has to get concluded sooner rather than later. And as we discussed the other night, if you're Andrew Kavanagh, the 49ers, and you're looking ahead to next season, if you're not in a position to start laying down your plans for what next season looks like, if you're not able to do that by the beginning, or I would say by the middle of April at the latest, you've got a problem. Because in an ideal world, what you'd have is your manager in place that you know you're going with. You would trust his judgment, and you would already be beginning the process, and it has to start now, of going to players that, I don't know. For example, a Bayrami, is he here for the long haul? A Robin Proper, what's the future hold for him? Do you want to? I would be looking, if I was in there, I'd be looking to sit these guys down and say, guys, it's really unlikely that you're going to get much game time here next season. Get on to your advisors, see what you can get. Give them enough time, give them enough, and be honest with them. I think honesty always helps in these situations. I think these players, if they were given a kind of running start going into the summer transfer market, they might be able to find something that suits them, something that attracts them, something that they'd be happy to move on to. I think if you leave it too much later than that, then all these guys that you would probably think don't have much of a future there, they'll all come back. They'll all be there for the start of pre-season training.
Good
the guys that get sent out on loan previously, they'll all be back. So you're looking at a bloated squad of players that you probably think aren't good enough to move the club forward. Is that what you want to be? Do you want to be offering the fans that have been so excited about this buyout, do you want to offer them up the exact same menu at the start of next season as the one that they can't stand the taste of this season? That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, I think there's a bit of urgency required now in terms of sorting out what's to happen with the current squad and also looking to the targets for next season. You'll see, there was a story today about a player, Georgian internationalist, that I think it was Sporting Lisbon said that Celtic were interested. They've sort of advanced the signing, even though it's out with the terms of the window. They've announced it early because there was competition. Porto have been signing players. These nations that compete against our sort of clubs for a certain bracket of players, they're all busy. They're all doing deals. There are players that will come out of contract at the end of this season. They're already in negotiations with clubs, free agents. There are other players that will come into this summer with 1 year left, and there's the possibility to get them at decent prices. All these things are happening across Europe at clubs, but Rangers are sort of stuck in a state of limbo. And I come back to it, and the more I think about it, the more I've convinced myself that Rangers' new owners, prospective new owners, have got 99 problems, and right now Barry Ferguson ain't one of them. So for that reason alone, I'd be thinking, do you know what? The smart move here, put him on a 12-month rolling contract. You're not going to go and say, right, here's a 5-year deal. Put him on a 12-month rolling contract. Except that he's doing a better job than was previously being done by the previous manager, and just say, look, we've got a ton of things to sort out. Why don't you take this on and let's see where we are 12 months down the line? Because I think if they don't have someone in the building making preparations for next season could look really similar to this season. Mm-hmm. And the Americans might come into this thinking, well, we've got a bit of time here. The fans will show us a bit of patience. That they're really happy. They're really excited. That is the case right now. You wait 4 weeks into the start of next season, if the same players are out there turning in the same performances, getting the same results, and Celtic are strolling off into the distance, after the first Old Firm derby of next season, you wait and see how patient the Rangers fans are about that.
Aye.
And I
No
think
such
they're
thing as
misreading the
pensions in this part of the
situation.
world. Aye.
I think they're misreading the situation if they think anything other than that. So, yeah, I understand. First things first, they've got to complete this deal. But the longer this goes on, I think the more urgency there needs to be in terms of planning for what comes next. Because if they go in with a standing start when it's too late, they're going to get nowhere. They're going to have a difficult first season in Scotland. And you would have thought, with all the fanfare that's around this takeover, they would want to hit the ground running with trumpets blaring, wouldn't they?
See the stuff you're talking about there, Keith. How difficult do you think it is for them to do a lot of that stuff before the takeover's complete? And could a Greta Steinson, for instance, who is obviously close to the new investors, could be a potential new sporting director at Rangers? I'm just kind of throwing that out there. How possible is it that even before the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed, could guys like that be working away in the background doing that kind of thing that you're talking about before it's actually concluded? Or do you think that's possible?
They could be, yeah. I would have thought if in order to get yourself into that position, though, you obviously need to be having discussions with somebody. I would have thought that if that was the case, if they were getting their ducks in a row, that they'd want to sit down with the current coaching staff in there, even just to get their opinion.
Yeah.
On what they're seeing day in, day out in the training pitch, what their assessment is of the character of the players, all that sort of stuff. As far as I'm aware, I don't think that conversation has been taking place.
Right.
So I think you could have a whole... listen, it's entirely feasible, Scott, that they've already picked the guy that they see as the next long-term manager. And they're speaking to him and they're having conversations about what his recruitment might look like. And if that's the case, then maybe it's not too late. But all I'm saying is I'm seeing deals getting done now. Transfers are getting made. Players are declaring their futures. Other players are looking for what the next stage is. And I think there's a few of the players in that dressing room that should be doing that. But who's there to tell them that? I don't think anybody's went in there and said to them, guys, you might be surplus next season. So it might be advisable now to speak to your agent and see what's going to be available. I don't think any of these conversations are taking place, and that would be a concern. I know that, priority number one is getting the takeover completed, and I think Rangers fans will be absolutely thrilled by that. I'm not sure how thrilled they're going to be if this current squad returns for action at the start of next season. I think they'll be expecting something more exciting than that. And all I'm saying is, if you're going to make kind of serious changes to how that squad looks and feels, you really should have been starting work on that some weeks ago, and you really can't wait too much longer than the middle of April. For me, I might be looking at it right now and think, I like the look of Barry Ferguson. I think this job suits him. I think he looks as if he's capable of driving this thing. He's getting something out of a squad that patently wasn't good enough in the first place. I'm coming around to it, thinking you might minimise your risk here by just giving a 12-month rolling contract and allow him to carry on with the football side of it, because they've got so much more work to do on the other side of the club right now. I'm wondering if that might be a solution to the issue, and it might allow Rangers to sort of get fast-tracked towards next season. Because if this thing doesn't complete until the end of April, you've only got a couple of weeks then to the end of the season.
But as you say, even then, if they decide to do that with Barry Ferguson, they need to sit down with him, because he undoubtedly is going to want his own players in. I mean, I wouldn't think for a minute Barry Ferguson will be looking at this squad at the moment. Despite the last couple of results and despite beating Fenerbahce and Celtic, I don't think there's any chance he's looking at that squad thinking, they'll do for me next year. Not a chance. He will be looking at that squad, seeing clear deficiencies that we've been seeing for long enough, and thinking, not only thinking I want it changed, I'm convinced Barry Ferguson will actually have an idea of 2, 3, 4 players that he would actually want to target, with the specific character traits that he's looking for to be part of that squad. So you're right. I mean, if they do make that decision, they need to sit down with him quick, because he's going to have his own ideas about exactly who he wants in. Where Neil's Coppin comes into that whole dynamic, I'm not sure, but there's certainly conversations that have to take place pretty soon.
I mean, they've been 2-0 down in 5 of the last 7 games, haven't they? I mean, that kind of going. I need to ask you this though, Keith, because we've got a lot of people writing and saying this 3 or 4, saying, is it true that if Leeds don't go up, it can't happen? John's saying, do they not need to wait until Leeds know if they're getting promoted to the EPL or not? I've seen a lot of people saying this on social media today.
No, I don't believe that is the case.